We'll now be looking at problems 7 through 12. Convert each number to the specified form. Our first problem says convert 0.24 to a percent. Most of you guys are doing pretty well with converting to a percent. We will have to remember, anytime we're converting to a percent, we have to move the decimal over 2 places. So this 0.24 will turn into 24%. Number 8, a repeating 0.6 needs to be converted to a fraction. And we learned in class that anytime we see the repeating bar, instead of this being 6 over 10, which is in the tenths place, we would write it 6 over 9. That will allow for it to become a repeating decimal. And 6 over 9 can be simplified. 3 will go into both 6 and 9, so 3 goes into 6 2 times. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So our solution would be 2/3. Problem 9 asks for us to convert 7/8 to a decimal. So we need to divide 7 by our denominator of 8. And here you need to be very careful to make sure that you're lining up your decimals. So let's start this problem. 7 divided by 8. I'm going to go ahead and put a decimal after 7 and carry it straight up so that I keep my decimal aligned in the proper place. 8 does not go into 7, so I need to borrow a 0. Now it goes into 70 8 times, so 64. That would give me a remainder of 6. Borrow another 0. 8 goes into 67 times. That would give me 56. With a remainder of 4. 8 goes into 45 times. With a remainder of 0. So our decimal has now terminated. Solution then is 0.875. Number 10 needs to be converted to a fraction. And we need to remember that our first place after the decimal is the tenths place. Our next placement is the hundredth place. And our third placement is the thousandth place. So I can simply take my number 15 and put 1,000 in the denominator. Now we have two numbers that are obviously divisible by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 5 goes into 10 2 times. And since that would create a 0, and we have two more zeros, we just add those onto our 2. If you need to, remember that you can divide 10,000 by 5. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 5 no longer goes into 0, so I bring down a 0, bring over a 0, and again add those on until I get to where my equivalent decimal point would be. Our solution for 10 was 3 over 200. Now looking at problem 11, 5.39% to a decimal. And if you remember from problem 7, in order for us to go from a decimal to a percent, we move the decimal point two places to the right. When we're going from a percent to a decimal, we simply do the opposite procedure. We move 2 places to the left. So our solution would be 0.539. Problem number 12, negative 5/6 to a percent. And so for this problem, we'll need to divide so we can get a decimal answer and then change that decimal to a percentage. So beginning, we need to take our numerator, negative 5, divided by 6. And 5 does not go into 6, so again, I'm going to line my decimal place up very carefully. And now 6 will go into 50 8 times. 8 times 6 is 48. And 48 from 50 gives me a remainder of 2. 6 will go into 20 3 times, which would make 18. That's going to also give me a remainder of 2. Anytime I get the same remainder twice in a row, I know that's going to turn into a repeating number. And so if I have a repeating number, 0.83, and it asks me to change that to a percent, I'm going to go ahead and accept this number turned into a percent without extra decimal places. We could say, well, let's do this first. Move the decimal 2 places to the right to make it a percent. And you could say 83.33% or 83.33 with a bar over it percent to recognize that that 3 will go on forever. But I think for general purposes, we're okay with just 83%.